I often speak about the importance of having a North Star, a vision, or a goal that you're working towards. Because 98% of people struggle with the same things, whether it's procrastination, self-sabotage, a lack of discipline, and the list goes on, but you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise you wouldn't have clicked this video. But the truth is, the issues that I've just listed aren't fixed by discipline. Well, in the long term anyway. It's something that is much deeper rooted. It's something that is controlling your behavior. It's like the invisible hands that are puppeteering your actions and your life. So what is this force that I'm talking about? Intentionality, or in this case, a lack thereof.
The function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days trying to prolong them. I shall use my time.
At this point, I have loads of people asking me, how do I be as disciplined as you? How do I show up even when there's no external progress or results being seen? Or I struggle with tasks that I know I need to do, so how do I commit to them? And whilst I have systems that can help you create momentum and sustain them across a long period, first link in the description below if you want to know about that. The truth is, I've never really relied on discipline because discipline is just a byproduct. It's something that becomes an unconscious practice along the way when your why is strong enough. In my mind, I have no choice but to show up, because what is the alternative? Well, I've lived it and I'm not going back there. The best way to answer those questions that I'm asked all the time is to begin with intention. Think about it. What got you to open this video, apart from the title maybe? What got you out of bed this morning? What made you have a sip of that coffee? Did you have to force yourself to do those things, or did they just happen? So the secret is, when your intention is strong enough, you don't need to force yourself to show up. It just happens. When I was 14, I watched this video by Eric Thomas, and in the video somewhere he says something along the lines of,
he told the guy, he said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
and dramatics aside, it's kind of true. The line might be overkill and, let's face it, a little bit cringe, but the fact still remains. The intention to win trumps all obstacles that will arrive and inevitably arrive on the path. And I'll touch more on these problems that you're going to face. But you might be in the mindset of, progress only happens when you do the things that you don't want to do. That's one way of looking at it, but how about reframing it and reframing the idea of wanting to do something entirely? You have to ask yourself, do you desire the successful business? Do you desire the successful relationship? Do you desire growth? Well, then the work and everything in between becomes necessary, not something you want or don't want to do. When it's necessary and you make that shift in your mind, then it pierces through the emotional and vibrational frequency that keeps you stuck in limbo. Limbo is one of the worst places to be. So when you do this, you ascend to a state of relentless detached action. I see everything I do as necessary. It isn't good, it isn't bad, it just is. And I don't believe anyone is inherently lazy. No one is too far gone and no one is a lost cause. You just need a reason, and a good enough reason. That reason becomes your intention. My reason, for example, well, right now I'm called to create compelling art and entertainment that will shift consciousness and raise people's minds and help them live a life by design and not by default. That's my contribution to the world, or my dharma, or my purpose, whatever you want to call it. It's how I can best serve while simultaneously best self-actualize. See, a lot of people commend me for what I do and say it's honorable for giving all of this stuff away, but in truth it's actually kind of self-serving, because the more I help other people and the more I give away, the more I actually learn about myself and the more I self-actualize. So whoops. But was this always my reason? No, and I'll tell you why that matters in just a second. But first, you might be wondering, how do I find my reason? And the truth is, it depends on what season of life you're in right now. There are short-term reasons and there are long-term reasons. A short answer to that question is aggressive experimentation through your curiosity. A long one is diving deep into the layers of your programming to uncover what was there all along. To uncover what your intuition and your curiosity has been pointing you towards all of these years, but you just haven't heard. So that you can operate from a place that is free of external noise. And by the way, this isn't some Instagram advice where it says, follow your passions and follow your dreams, because I don't fully believe that. I think your reason evolves as you do too, but you just have to have the awareness to know what season of life you're in right now and what would best serve you right now. So back to my reason, it's something I actually discovered lying dormant inside of me after I went through all of the 1,000 other reasons that helped me in the periods I was in. See, right now you might not want to help humanity and elevate people's consciousness. You might just want to get out of survival mode and escape your job and live life on your own terms, or maybe you just want a fulfilled relationship. And that's completely fine. There is no right and there is no wrong. There is just what individually serves you. And the key is to find this through experimenting. What creates that spark inside of you right now? Every fire that blazes brightly first began with a spark. Everyone that you can think of right now who is actively contributing and moving forward in their life first began with that same spark. So your job is to find yours, ignite it, and add fuel to it. And then step back and understand that that fire, your reason, your purpose, will evolve over time as you let it. If you let it. See, laziness comes from ignoring this spark entirely. It comes from not carving out the time to ask yourself what you really want and allowing yourself to fall into the illusion of comfort and into a box. It comes from successfully being psyoped into living a life by default and not by design. Because if you don't create an intention, then the world will create one for you, whether it's your job, your friends, your peers, or your family. And you'll live passively, slowly building a life that isn't yours. A one-to-one client of mine recently asked me, I feel like I've arrived and I've achieved the goals that I've set out in the past, so how do I find my reason now? And I think this is a great alternative perspective to people who still feel lost even after they feel like they've made it. So wherever you are in your life right now, you need to be project maxing. Whether you're in your 20s, your 40s, or your 60s, you need to have a project at the forefront of your mind. And why? Well, projects give us purpose. They reveal layers to us that were otherwise unavailable, and they act as a mirror if we let it. They say the man with no purpose finds pleasure in distraction, and I would also argue that the man with no project finds pleasure in distraction. I think it's the same difference. See, the greatest minds and performers in history have always had a period of their lives where they're focused on a project. Da Vinci had his paintings and cathedrals, Steve Jobs had his next Apple launch, Estee Lauder had her next product. You can find your reason through experimenting with these projects. And it's funny because when you're doing them or when you first get the idea, you think you're doing it for some arbitrary outcome, but in reality it's who you become in the process. The project shapes you just as much as you shape it. And anything can be a project. It doesn't have to be a huge business. It can be that trip that you have planned. It can be that person that you're pursuing. My show, my YouTube, my newsletters, my writing, those are my current projects. Those are the things that keep me building, keep me going. So as Simon Sinek says, start with why. When your why becomes strong enough and your vision and your macro is strong and detailed, then no micro obstacle can impair you along the way. Remember I said I'll talk about the inevitable problems that will come along the path. Well, here's the thing. They are inevitable. They are unavoidable. This friction and resistance solely exists to kill your momentum. But in actuality, it's not some evil, malevolent force that is there to destroy your path. In fact, it's an alternate version of you that is helping you evolve and build your character at a rapid rate. Will you still feel the urge to procrastinate, to self-sabotage, to not show up? Yeah, sure, but now you have your North Stars, now you have your obsession, now you have your pursuit of mastery. You are much quicker to recenter, and those periods shrink massively, and you don't get stuck in the loop of limbo. So take a few minutes today and ask yourself these questions. What season am I currently in? What would ignite that spark inside of me? If the outcome was already guaranteed and I already had it, then what would keep me going? What reason currently is strong enough that would help me overcome the spirit of laziness? What North Star should I create in the short term and in the long term that will help me recenter if I fall off? Remember, everything, including mastery, is downstream of intention. You're not lazy, you just need a reason.